Hi, thank you for tuning in to the Finding Harmony podcast with me, your host, Harmony Slater. Hi, welcome to the Finding Harmony podcast. We have an exciting one for you today. Russell's here. He's co-host still.
Oh, God. I understand that you got my ex-wife to be on the podcast today.
No, this is a different English Sally.
Sally from Sussex. Is that right? Sally the one.
I think I just missed out on being your first wife.
Yeah, she just missed that
No, we used to practice yoga together in Brighton. Sally from Sussex, yeah?
Different Sally.
And so it's...
But this is this Sally.
This is a different Sally?
This isn't the one you were married to. No.
Well, let's just agree to disagree. And I see there's a lot of questions here about our sex life.
Oh, God.
I don't know how that happened. Like favorite positions.
Am I going to have to take this out?
No.
Please don't make my job harder.
Can we just keep it to the yoga and keep the personal stuff out of it? Is that all right? Sally, how are you? It's nice to see you again.
She's crying. She's laughing so hard. No kidding.
You're going to need therapy out of the fucking hell.
No, today we have Sally Parks.
Oh.
Sally Parks.
Oh, shit. That's not my wife at all.
No.
Oh, hi. You were my student in Brighton. How are you?
I was your student. I'm good. I did wonder what happened to you. You don't really do social, do you? Social media.
Oh, I hate it.
I often wonder. Yeah, I often wonder what happened to teachers I've had the fortune of studying with, and some are not social media people, which I fully understand. So it's nice that our paths have finally crossed again.
It is. So you said you wanted to get married. No, never mind.
No, too late.
I misconstrued what you said earlier. I'm sorry. But if you were interested in me, that's fine. You know, you get these sort of tensions in the room all the time, and you just kind of. We're going to talk about you today and the tensions that you have in your rooms, right? And what's that like for you? Now you see a little someone with this little special, someone with a little golden light about them, a golden glow. What do?
Where in the world are you these days, Sally?
She's speechless.
She can't even talk.
She can't even talk.
It's because you're making up crazy things.
No, I'm not making up anything crazy. These things happen. You fall in love with students all the time. I didn't know you fell in love with your teacher. It's when did you get into this yoga thing? What happened? What did you need?
Let's find out where Sally is first, okay?
Well, she's in England, obviously.
Yeah, England's a pretty big island.
It's not at all. It's very small.
I am about 9 miles away from Brighton, so Worthing.
Oh, so you're
West Sussex.
Worthing. Oh, I remember Worthing.
You're still kind of in the area.
That's like there's a Ashtanga center on that side. Did you go to that one?
No, she doesn't practice Ashtanga anymore.
Oh, she doesn't. Oh shit, was it me?
Yeah.
Is that the end of the podcast?
We should have ended the podcast. Oh.
No, it wasn't you.
No.
I had, okay, I don't know what to answer first. I'm in Worthing, West Sussex. So I lived in London, between seeing you last time, Russell, I lived in London for quite a long time. But then I came back down.
Nice.
Yeah.
Came back down south to be by the coast.
Yeah. That's
pretty
beautiful. And so
the reason
why don't you practice Ashtanga? Let's talk about it.
Why did she start doing Ashtanga? That's to be where we should start. You should start in a linear...
Start at the beginning?
Start at the beginning. Why don't you do Ashtanga anymore? Was it me?
Well, you were practicing with Russell in Brighton, and then then we met in Thailand on a teacher training, and you were practicing then. Yeah. And then what happened in your life? Then I lost track of you.
Yeah. Well, I started Ashtanga because that was all there was.
Yeah.
It was Ashtanga with Iyengar. That was the choice.
That was the choice.
2000. In 2000, that's when I started.
Amazing.
My favorite lecturer at university started some classes and a teacher training. So I started with her. She was Vinny Yoga trained.
Okay. Yeah. With Jessica Char's son.
Yes, exactly.
Or Krishnamacharya's son, Desgachar.
So that was a nice introduction, and then I just used to cycle over to Brighton because I lived in Lancing, which is a little village outside of Brighton at the time, and I would go to the lunchtime class at the Buddhist Centre, which were Ashtanga.
Nice.
I try and get there most days, and we'd only ever go up to Navasana.
Yeah,
I wanted more. I don't know how I found out about the Mysore practices, which you and Russell, but I ended up there somehow. And then it's quite. I found it quite addictive. I found the practice addictive.
Yeah.
So that's why you saw me so much.
Yeah.
Quite a long time, I think.
It was nice.
It was maybe 4, 5.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been in India, and my a mentor of mine, Sharon Moon, took a gig with Julie Martin at the Brighton Natural Health Centre, and then got me and roped me in. And I had an interest in being in England, so I moved to Brighton, and then I was there until we buggered off to Taiwan, which is about 3-4 years later. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you going to Taiwan. Yeah.
Yeah. Sad.
And then Sarah took over, right?
Oh, Sarah Miles. She's still there. Good old Sarah. She's wonderful.
She is there. Yeah, I looked her up. She's still there. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was great. She's one of my faves. Yeah. She's just really normal.
Yeah.
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 She is.
Yeah.
Straightforward. There's no pretense or anything. She just gets on with it.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated her guidance. And then the reason I stopped, I was so in love with yoga. It was such a big love affair. But I ended, I went to Mysore and I came back with a bulging disc. And actually, I thought it was a bulging disc. It turned out to be 3 bulging discs when I finally got a scan.
Yeah.
And it's taken a really long time for them to heal, but partly because, they haven't healed completely. They never will. I have degraded vertebrae, basically.
Same.
And so my lumbar spine is essentially crumbly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like,
same.
Yeah, so kind of crumbly.
It's turned to
did you say
dust. Same, yeah, it's just all turned to dust. And I personally feel so much better for having stopped practicing. Feel great.
You do your little stretches.
I do little stretches, but I absolutely feel great. I feel so much better.
So you're not being sarcastic right now. You're not practicing.
No, he doesn't.
No, it's hard to tell.
I would say he doesn't practice Ashtanga anymore.
I do.
Oh.
I mean, not like
I go in there and I lie on the mat.
Yeah, you do your little stretches.
I do my little stretches. Yeah.
Oh, it's so sad. I loved it so much. I loved the community and I loved the craziness of it. Some of the postures, you're like, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
I liked that side of it because it was kind of wacky. Yeah. And I loved the people there and the bars you'd have all day from it. Yeah. So awesome. Yeah. But yeah, I had this back issue and it turned out after a scan, I've got 2 spots of scoliosis as well. So then the load on the body that Ashtanga gave me was slowly, initially it was energizing. Then I just felt I was being more and more depleted.
Right.
Yeah. I was also a bit of a nutter because I was teaching so much on top of it. And of course, with Ashtanga, especially as you work your way up, it's you should kind of rest for the rest of the day. But me,
all day,
me, I teach 5 classes, and I remember Sarah Miles. So I don't think it was. I'm not Ashtanga bashing. I think it was all the other stuff as well. Plus, I didn't eat much either for that time. So, but I remember Sarah Miles saying, "You're going to kill yourself." She kind of to one side one day. I think I was having yet another and she's like, "You're going to kill yourself," like really direct. Like, oh yes, okay, because I was teaching so much.
Right.
Okay, so right.
Yeah.
Because you were teaching so many classes and then practicing and not eating and running around.
But it's also expensive to live
out all day
in England. Like you kind of need
to teach like at least
every piece of coin.
Yeah. So I was just taking all the work I could. And but I was also quite addicted to that rushing around buzz. I liked that. Right. I got off on that quite a lot, the adrenaline.
Yeah.
Speaking of getting off, I think that, you know, we really did have the same spine, and we really were probably well matched because we have exactly the same issues. It's sort of.
Well, you have bone spurs, and she has
the whole thing,
discs.
herniated discs and crumbly discs, and the whole thing. I've got osteoarthritis now as well. Yeah.
Oh wow! Where in the lower back?
Yeah, in the lumbar. Yeah. As I say, I can do upward dog, and I can do downward dog, but I can't do them together. I can't do one right after the other. No.
Right. Okay.
Not at all. No way.
Interesting.
No chance.
See, upward dog for me, I'm at the osteopath the next day if I do it. So when I demo, I just have to do cobra, and then I use someone in the class to demo up dog.
Yeah.
That's how. So I taught today, and that's what I did, because it just. I'm on fire. I got pain down my left leg and all sorts.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we're a little young for that. Don't you think? Don't you think we're a little too young for that?
I know.
It seems like that's like a 60-year-old thing. You know, not like a.
Well,
I guess we're not too far away from that, actually.
Yeah, I have got a bit of an old lady spine, it turns out. Yeah, but now it has improved my teaching a lot. The challenges with my back, because I used to think people just needed to try harder.
Yeah, work harder, get up earlier, practice more, do it longer.
Get lighter.
Get lighter. Yes.
Oh, with the anorexia
that's always a good one.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, that's always kind of there in the background, eh? It's changing slowly, thank God. More representation in the industry, but that kind of push. And I think I was a bit of a yoga asshole in that I would be like, well, just do it again, try harder. But then this has been quite humbling. That, whoa, okay, I can't do what I want, and every day I don't know how my back's going to feel, so it's quite hard to plan. And with regards to yoga, I mean, I just move. I stretch out and move. Yin yoga feels good, so I'm into that. At the yoga, and today I just cycled for an hour. That was my yoga today. That's what I needed. So in order for me to be able to sit still, because I got ADHD, I needed to exercise. Like you just walked your dogs, Harmony.
I know, I was out walking the dogs.
But I love the cardio. I really enjoy that.
No, it's good. What I'm curious about is you went to Mysore with like dreams of becoming an authorized Ashtanga yoga teacher.
Just like me.
And you came out of Mysore with three herniated discs. How did that happen? Was there like an incident, or was it just
an incident?
Yeah. Trying too hard?
There was an incident.
Yeah, tell us.
Who did this to you?
It was probably waiting it was probably waiting to happen because of the scoliosis I've got, which I didn't even know I had. That's how kind of out of my body I used to exist. I didn't even notice it. But it was a back job and then Saraswati adjusted me, which I was hanging out for. I was waiting for her to adjust me. So it was completely, I wanted to adjust.
Cooled down,
Yeah. And then hands on the back of my knees. And I was like, damn, I've made it in life, And then I came up and I was like, oh, shoot, what just happened? I had this like pain in my back, like I was being punched.
Yeah.
And someone hooked me up with this healer guy. I think he was actually a pervert, but I went to see him. And like,
you can
my
be both those
down.
things. That's all right. You can, those, I
don't know. What did he do? What did he do to you?
Do you know what? I'm not totally sure, but he was quite keen on me getting undressed. I remember that bit.
For sure.
Yeah.
For him, from his perspective, at least you got undressed. And if you also got healed,
was it like a massage?
Kind of, and energy work, and I think he was just blagging it, really. My back did feel calmer after, but that might have been placebo effect, and just the fact I really wanted it to work.
Yeah.
But later on, I was like,
that's just skeevy.
Yeah.
But But for a male, you know, when you're not around a lot of female energy, when you're suddenly around it, you do become a pervert in that moment. It's like, oh, I'm kind of quite interested in this thing, and it becomes a thing. Yeah. An object.
Yeah, and I would probably be the same if I was a male, to be fair. Not like that, like, not like the guy in India. I'm just getting what you're saying. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Like, no, I wouldn't be like that.
Ooh,
but I think that was possibly a bit messed up. But then when I came back, I didn't want to believe that my Ashtanga journey was over. So I kept coming back to yoga, being in pain, then coming back. You know, I think that went on for about another 2 years or something.
Yeah.
And then I started to put postures out that hurt. And then I was like, well, this isn't even Ashtanga anymore. So I just became rather than Ashtanga teacher, a yoga teacher.
Yeah.
Good. And taught all sorts. And Pilates has been brilliant. I love teaching Pilates. That always feels good.
That can be really helpful for back pain and developing core strength, which is often the cause of back pain, right? Is not having that stability to support the spine through the front of the body.
Yeah.
I found with drugs that I kept at it for another 10 years after I should have stopped. Yeah. With not like medicine, but like serious like muscle relaxants and, you know, anti-inflammatories of all kinds, like real liver crushing stuff, you know.
Like what? Give me an example.
Well, like, you know, you shouldn't like 1,000 milligrams of ibuprofen just to fucking get out of bed, you know, and do that.
Is that wrong?
Yeah.
Yes, that's wrong. Like my friend Frank died of vascular disease because of that.
For real?
Yeah, you get vascular disease and it can fucking kill you from taking you basically overdose on ibuprofen after a decade.
Well, it kills your liver, right?
That's how he fucking died. Yeah.
Wow. I used to take a pack a day when I was teaching up in London. This is when my discs were bulging. Right? Yeah, so I might meet your friend soon on the other side. Yes. And I would it just started creeping out. I'd take a couple in the morning and then I was like, shit, I need a pack a day because I was teaching like 20-something classes a week.
Oh my gosh. And then, that's so many.
And then I don't know what happened. I must have had just a moment where I was like, screw this. And I just left it. I just left London. I couldn't do it anymore.
Right.
I was bored. I think you get to a point, and it's quite liberating to get to that point where you just get sick of your own shit. Just get sick of your own moaning, pains, problems, because we're generally the creator of most of them. Ourselves.
Yeah, that's
and I was like, I need to get out of here. And London made me a bit crazy anyway. I kind of got caught. The yoga scene in London's kind of well, it's just very intense, I was finding. So being in that wasn't, well, now I look back, it wasn't great for me as well.
Yeah.
I made a good living.
Right.
And
teaching 30 classes a week or 27 classes a week, that's a lot.
And you don't have a day off, do you?
No, there is no day off. And if you get a bit of time, it's like you're catching up on life admin and whatnot. Yeah. I just wanted to get to a certain point financially and, be known enough that I could launch a training. So then I did that and then I got out. Me and my crumbly spine got out.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
My friend Frank, he was my student and he was just really open and lovely and I could work with him. He was 57 and he would go work out and then he would go swim at lunch and he would work all day at Kaiser Permanente, the hospital. And then every once in a while he would be just stiff as a board. And I was like, what's happening to you today? He's like, oh, I didn't take my ibuprofen.
Oh, wow.
And so he was on it every day and then he just died. And he came back with vascular disease in the autopsy. I was like, oh, fucking hell. And then when I put the whole thing together, I went cold turkey. I was like, I'm not taking that shit anymore because it'll kill you. Yeah. And then of course my practice fell apart the same because I couldn't do it without the ibuprofen. I couldn't do it, any part of it.
And that's so messed up, isn't it? And I've done it too, where you're masking yourself, you're masking your pain to do a yoga practice, which is supposed to be making you healthier.
Yeah,
what's that about?
Exactly. That's that's when we transform the yoga into another egotic practice to make ourselves feel better about our inner wound. You know, like all this messed up stuff inside of us is like, well, we're going to cure that with yoga, and then I'll be better at it than anyone else.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then you're back to ego.
Yeah.
So that's also screwed up.
It's so sneaky though, isn't it? Right? That like it is sneaky. That's
a good word for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't initially go into it like that, and even when you're in it, you don't necessarily have the awareness that it's happening. But then you're like, you know, looking at Instagram, and you're like, well, I can do that better than that person. Or
that bitch is so young. Or I'm going to kill her.
You're posting on Instagram, and you're like, oh, I'm amazing. Or like, I have such a great practice. I feel so good. Right? But like all of that is just reinforcing that sneaky ego aspect. Yeah. And then eventually it destroys you.
Yes.
This is also positive.
No, but that's a good thing. That's the thing that you want to destroy.
Well, it destroys you, or you destroy it eventually.
You want to destroy the urgent need to show off, and get rid of that, and your whole life is better. Yeah, just like then you can just do the stuff. Now, I remember there was the old Iyengar lady who taught Iyengari yoga upstairs. Do you remember her at Brighton Natural Health Center?
I can't remember.
She was like ancient. She was probably like 50, and no, I think she was 70 something. And she was such a nice, sweet old lady. But I also kind of had the sense about her that she was just a wee bit arrogant. But we were also quite arrogant with our little Mysore room. And I remember her saying to me one day, it's like, well, the thing about Ashtanga yoga is eventually you become an Iyengar student. Oh, yeah. Well, that's right. She was right. Yeah.
She was so right. That's why she was arrogant. She basically knew. She knew what was going to happen to us. She knew we were fucking.
Yeah.
She knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She'd been there.
I love Iyengar.
Yeah.
She'd been there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Props her a lot. There's a lot to cope with, but I do love Iyengar yoga. That's what I started with, and then I got caught up in the Ashtanga world.
Yeah, the Ashtanga, like you say, it gives you that really awesome high when you're in it and you're on that roll, right? You're doing it every day, and you're doing it hard, and you get really high, and you're like, this is amazing.
In the one session, I'd finally been allowed to get to intermediate after fucking 4 years of primary, and I don't know the name of the posture. What is it in plank where you like jump? What's that?
Nakrasana.
Nakrasana.
The crocodile.
Right. Yeah. So I was doing that, and I was having a complete meltdown. And Russell was standing over me, and I was crying.
I allowed you to do that.
There was a trail of snot from me to the floor, and my hands were going in it. And Russell just went, "Do it again," and that was it. You didn't acknowledge my snot or anything. It was just you were just like, "Do it again," and that was it. You were cold.
Oh my god! I remember those days. It was such fun.
I didn't think I had any energy, and I did do it again. I did, and I was very pleased because I thought, well, that just shows when you think you've got nothing left, there's something. I mean, maybe the snot helped. I don't know.
But I think that's why there's like an OB in the room while you're giving birth. Like that person's there to like, come on, one more time, come on, give it a go.
But that was wild, and I loved the extremeness of it. I must say, I didn't get that anywhere else. And other yoga, you'd get a bit, coddled, a bit like, oh, don't do it if it hurts. But Russell was just like, do it again. And I liked it at the time. I don't know if I'd like it now, but I liked the militantness of it.
Yeah. So did I.
I think that's the thing, is there's different like stages in your journey and in your practice. And I think, you know, early on when you have a lot of energy and a lot of fight, you almost need that like super disciplinary kind of, like, I remember even like when I was a lot younger, you know, you fantasize about like joining the army or like doing something like that because it's so like intense. You want to like test your willpower and your determination. You want to like be strong and like fight, right? Like fight, but it's like against yourself in a way, right? Like, and I think that there's a certain aspect of the practice, especially Ashtanga. I mean, I think it's also an Iyengar, though. Those guys are crazy sometimes. They're very violent.
That can get super intense.
Militant, right? But there's something to that kind of teacher, that kind of approach to the practice that is very attractive when you have a lot of that fight in you, right? Like you want to fight against yourself. You want to fight against your limitations. You want to fight against boundaries. And you kind of need a teacher that's going to like challenge you to do that, right? But then like, I think there is another stage in the journey where you're like, you know what? I just kind of want to be kind to myself now. I just want to be gentle and sweet.
Since I had kids, because that's all been quite brutal. I'm like, I'm not going to go and seek out pain in yoga anymore. I have enough pain. But prior to that, like just, you can just fucking hit me with a stick and I'll take it. Let's go. Let's just go now. Come on, I'm ready. And I loved that. And I loved to take an instruction and just going for it. And then the rest of my life was chaos. But I loved walking into the room, hearing Ujjayi breathing, smelling the incense, and just knowing what was going to come for the next 90 minutes. Just that structure. I really needed that at that time.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember Nazma? Nazma Jabbar. Yeah, she was a student, little thin Bangladeshi lady. I think she was like maybe a professional of some kind, like a lawyer or something. And she said to me, I've been out fucking drinking all night. I'm gonna lie a little bit to exaggerate, snorting coke and the whole thing. And I'm like, I had come in from being out all night, and it was.
This is you or
my friend
Nazma?
My friend Nazma. And then like 5:30, 6 in the morning, I got home from the club, and I'm sitting on the toilet with my head in my hands, and my niece. My little niece walks into the toilet and says, Nazma, auntie, let's play. And I looked at her. I said, oh, fuck this. I'm going to go practice with Russell instead. I'm not playing with this fucking child.
Epiphany moment. So she came to class so high?
Yeah.
Hungover.
Yeah, I mean, she was probably just little bit, you know, hungover is probably all it was. But yeah, I just think that there's an element there for us where our lives were such chaos in growing up and into entering adulthood that there was something really attractive and seductive to a discipline. Like, here's at least something, at least this is something that has boundaries and we are contained and controlled. And as much as like we're like a horse, working against the bit, like at least someone's got us under control, and like this is that place. I think that was the seduction for it, or the attraction for it.
Yeah, and someone's looking out for you. If you're under the guidance of a teacher, you know, you hopefully feel like they've got your best interests at heart. And I didn't have that elsewhere. So for me, that was a big draw. You know, and people would check in on each other, and you know, like if someone wasn't there for a week, but like, where's so and so, and things like that. And I liked the way the teachers covered for each other when they went to Mysore, and it was good vibes. It was really nice. And I had a lot of, I think it probably saved me about 2K in therapy too, because I would just have a week where I'd be melting down and like, you know, I'd feel it come up from the pelvis and I'd be like, oh shoot. And then it would hang out at the solar plexus a little while. Then it would come up and out through my chest, like pain, you know, around the sternum area, and then meltdown time. But I knew it was all good. There's a lot of stuff needed to come up. So, and then I just didn't really need that anymore. So that was really intense,
nice.
But really good, really good. Because I'd been so heavy with depression before that. Yeah. So that was amazing.
And that had kind of started in early youth for you. You'd kind of gone off the rails a bit early on. And was it, I guess you don't need to get into details with us, but I imagine that it had been kind of rough for you growing up.
Yeah, well, I remember being 4 years old. So my mom and dad split when I was 4. My dad joined the Mormon church when I was 4.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
He went
not that. Right? Jesus.
Well, quite. So,
oh, no.
They're all going to know really soon. So my mom, who's she was a big 6-foot woman from Yorkshire, really loud and you know, very direct woman. So I was brought up by her. My two brothers were older than me. They struggled more, I think, with my dad not being there because they remember him. Whereas I have a couple of memories. That's it. So he got remarried to someone in the church and took on her sons, stepchildren, etc. So, but I remember moving into our house. We had to sell the house, etc. in the divorce, and then I remember moving into our new house. And I had mumps, measles, and chickenpox all within the space of like 6 weeks. So I'd obviously picked up on the stress. Right. And I remember I remember my mum standing in the middle of the living room. I was just on the sofa as the removal men were bringing stuff in, and just feeling. And my memory of it is just black, like it's just dark and black, and just very, very depressed. I didn't know it was that at the time. And I remember my mum going, oh, for fuck's sake, because they'd taken, the last people had taken the light bulbs with them.
Oh, my.
Yeah, so she was obviously very stressed. 3 children. I mean, she'd had 3 under 5 years, right? So I was the surprise. I wasn't a plan. So, so she was highly stressed. And I just remember feeling dreadful. And it kind of continued from there, actually. Just feeling like sad most of the time. I was extremely thin as a child. I had problems with eating. I couldn't swallow properly and stuff. And I'd skip meals. I didn't eat all the time I was at school because I was forced to have school dinners because they were free and my mum didn't have much money at all. Yeah. So that easily led into eating disorders with no problem whatsoever. It was because it was normal. I didn't eat the entire day. And I remember my mum used to always be asleep when I got home from school. She probably had depression too. So I'd sneak in the kitchen, try and get some bread. And then, because I didn't want to tell her I hadn't eaten the lunch because it was disgusting. Right. But the dinner ladies, as we had, like, used to try and force me to eat, force feed. And then,
oh my gosh.
And then, we'd have like dinner time. But yeah, that was kind of messed up. And then my brothers they're quite bullyish, really. I don't actually speak with them hardly anymore. So it was kind of weird. And then my mum remarried when I was 10, and my stepdad was a dream. He was lovely. He passed away 2018. He was a brilliant guy, really, really nice. Couldn't be kinder. So that was really nice. But unfortunately, they got married. His first wife had died of cancer, and then he married my mum, and then my mum got cancer.
Oh no!
So I really felt for him. It's really hard for him. And
did she pass?
My mum did, but she was like a really stubborn fucker. So she held on for like another 30 years. So she had chemo and mastectomy and everything. So she was 40 when she got it, and then she died at 72. So it's not bad, actually.
No.
She only initially had 50-50 chance of survival. So
wow.
So it's actually positive. So she died in 2014.
Oh, right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But and then my friend at school, she had a sleepover, and her mum, when we were 13, and then her mum gave us some cider, and that was the start of the thinking for me.
Yeah.
When you were 13,
I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. And I just remember feeling the best I've ever felt.
Yeah.
Because I was tipsy. And
wow.
I was like, I feel warm, I feel content, I feel relaxed. And it was the first time I remember feeling like that. So, and then that was it. I was on it. I didn't drink I would drink from like Thursday through to very late Saturday night kind of thing. So
that was me too. We share a lot of similarities. Yeah. I remember when I was 12, I mean, my father's an alcoholic, so we always had alcohol readily available.
He doesn't listen to the
show.
Okay.
But my parents had a bottle of sherry, I think, like church, the church wine. And I loved church wine. I got baptized when I was 10, and then you could start taking communion at church. And I was like, this stuff is awesome. I love it. I mean, you just get a sip at church, right? But then, and I remember asking my mom, what is that? What kind of wine is that? And she's like, oh, it's sherry. And they had sherry in the house. My great-grandmother actually always drank a glass of sherry before bed as well. So I don't know. It's like some sort of tradition in my family. But I remember coming home from school and like pouring myself a little glass of sherry when I was probably about 11, 12 years old, and like,
oh wow.
This is quite nice, because also my parents were working all the time, so
you had a glass of sherry when you came home from school?
Not every day, but just like, you can't drink it every day, otherwise you're going to get busted. You gotta space that stuff out.
It's just very gradual. You can kind of get away with it. But that is my dad was an alcoholic too before he joined the church. Yeah. So we have got a lot of parallels there. Yeah.
And that feeling, like when you're young and all of a sudden, like, I mean, I guess this is why children shouldn't drink alcohol, because it makes quite an impression, does it not? Like when all of a sudden, especially if you've gone through a lot of, emotional things as a young child, and then all of a sudden you're 12, 13 and you feel amazing. And like, you don't have to think about anything, and all of your problems are gone.
It's very appealing.
Oh my God.
It's very appealing. and also you've got the hormones kicking in. And back then it was probably the same for you guys. There wasn't much in the way of education or being able to find decent amounts of information to help yourself. I mean, my mum put a book about puberty in the drawer, and that was it. There was no talk or
Good
or
for
anything.
Her. Yeah, nice.
Like Miriam Stoppard, who was his TV doctor. I mean, that was weird. I was actually quite glad, because I didn't want to talk with her about it at all. And then a lesson at school, which was quite horrible and scary and quite revolting actually. And that was really it. So no one going into the teenage years really knew what was going on, or had any boundaries, or knew what was okay, and especially girls, and how, what's illegal. Like there's a lot of it would have been illegal, like, at school going on with older boys and young girls.
Sure.
Yeah, very bizarre. Now I look back, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
How was that stuff happening? That is terrible. But a lot of the kids drank, and a lot smoked. Smoked. Well, it was hash then. Didn't have weed, so a lot of hash smoking.
Yeah.
I got caught up in that quite a lot, and then just kind of moved on to more chemical based stuff.
The good stuff.
Probably the best time of my life. If I'm honest. At all. I mean, I hit the club and rave scene when it was pumping. It was the best. And it will never be that good again. And the drugs were so good.
Manchester. That scene. Yeah.
Yeah, so I had the best time. And then I just kind of needed to just get a grip, because I was getting a lot of suicidal ideation on the come downs, which had kind of always been in the background since being a kid.
Kind of a drop in serotonin after that huge rush from the MDMA. It was like, oh, I love everything. And then you just kind of come down. It's like, oh, where'd that go?
Yeah, and then I'd go down, but then I'd keep going down. Like I wouldn't come back to normal. I'd just keep going down and down, and they were getting harder and harder. So I started. I just started running one day. I was like, I'm just going to go run. We live near the South Downs, and that kicked off my love affair with exercise. And I was like, oh, this actually feels really good. Obviously, not as intense as dropping 4Es, which I used to do in the night, but it was like. So it was like, okay, well, this feels good, and I actually feel really positive. And that I remember, one of my first jogs I went out for. I remember someone from school saw me, and the next day she goes, "I think I saw you out running last night." And I was like, "No, that wasn't me," because at the time it wasn't cool to be seen exercising.
Sure.
And drinking as a girl in the 90s. Well, no, that would have been like 80s. It just wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't cool. It was cool to be like snogging boys and smoking silk cuts. So that's my
God, those silk cuts. Those are terrible cigarettes.
If you were pushing the boat out, when I started, it was 88 pence for 10, and there was a newsagent that would sell single cigarettes for 12p.
Yeah,
so that's how I started smoking. Yeah, so it was all kind of carnage, and then I joined a gym, and I was still dipping in and out of the rave and club scene, and then I think it was when then I decided I needed to get away from home, so I went to university and studied sports science, and then I went completely like very extreme the other way, completely teetotal. I started working in clubs, so I couldn't drink or take anything.
Right.
And that worked really well for quite some time.
And then you're like working out and studying and like all into health and doing.
I just love that, like the thing that you were keeping hidden, that was this hidden side of you, was the healthy side. And you had to kind of keep this on the down low, that you were secretly a health nut. And then you had to escape and, escape the whole scene so you could go really fully explore that health nut piece. That's amazing. That's so arse backwards from.
I know, it's so weird, but it was off the time because it just wasn't.
It's true.
A cool thing.
Yeah.
It was now people would look at you really weird if you took drugs. It's like that's just not cool.
It's true.
At the time, being really normal wasn't cool. You're a geek. You'd be punched at school. It was just like no.
Yeah.
Trying to skive off PE was a cool thing to do. I always wanted to do PE, but I was like, no, I can't do it today. No. A note. Because that's what the cool girls did. And then they'd go smoking at the back of the school.
And that's our community, right? That's the Ashtanga Yoga community is a whole bunch of punks and trauma-informed drug users who are just like, I just need a minute. Trauma sensitive. I just need a minute to myself to kind of recover from this, please. I'm just going to like, nobody will know, but I'm going to go fucking meditate. And like, 'cause I just need a minute.
It's completely back to front. It's completely bizarre. I did feel when we were practicing Ashtanga with Brian, I felt like there was a lot of interesting characters in the room that I would have liked to have gotten to know. So
we'd like to party. Yeah.
I didn't get invited to those parties.
No, nor did we. We didn't have party. We just did the thing. We just met.
Party in the morning.
We just did the yoga. That's where but we all did. We all would have liked to have gotten off, as you say.
Well, it is interesting. Even in Mysore, there seems like there was always kind of two groups of people. And like those were like the really, like spiritual path, teetotalers, sort of like pure everything.
Puritans.
Pure food, pure body, pure mind.
There were Puritans and there were punks.
Yeah, no, but even like past punks would
become Puritans. Yeah, okay.
But then there's like always a subset of people in Mysore. I was never a part of that subset, so I didn't get invited so much.
You were a teetotaler.
Yeah, but they were, like still smoking dope all the time, or like taking ketamine, or like, doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
Playing chess. That's what we did. We played chess and shoot ketamine. Like,
and then like get up and do advanced series in the morning. And I mean, I was always like, how do you do that? That's insane.
Yeah, I knew a lot of guys that would do 2E and then do their yoga practice and feel amazing. Yeah, feel great.
I get nauseous.
Yeah. That was the best practice ever. So, yeah.
Wow. But tell me what happened. You said like after pregnancy, your approach to practice really changed. So
did she say that?
Yeah, she just said it.
Oh, she said it earlier? It's not in the notes. Is there anything more about drugs that we could talk about? We were talking.
No. Let's move on. Let's move on from the pregnancy.
No, but our listeners really respond very positively in the focus groups to when we mention the drugs. We get
when letters. You show me numbers, I'll believe it.
No, I have them. I'll get them.
My last word on that is just say no, kids.
Just say no, exactly.
Thank you, Nancy Reagan, for that. Okay.
That really worked, that campaign, didn't it?
No.
But I feel like that you need the dark with the light, right? Otherwise you can't see the light.
It's true.
It needs I like the mix up. And also if you have a foot in either path, the dark and the light, I feel like you can understand people better.
100%.
So like whoever you end up teaching, you can probably have a sense of where they're at. You might not completely understand where they're at, but with regard to their behavior or emotional level at that on that day, if the teachers I've been with that have just led a very pure life, or I might have made assumptions about them, but I feel like they don't always have a handle on how people are, human behavior. Yeah. So then their teaching is affected by that. I like being taught by people that have seen both sides of life.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, the full spectrum of human experience. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And I had friends that, a few people from school have passed away now because they never got straightened out after all the drug taking. So, and I'm fully aware that I could have stayed in a very different path. So the fact I can even kind of get on a mat and actually move, I'm quite happy about. It's not actually.
Do you know this?
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No, you're okay.
Do you know this place, Chithurst, that's out by you? I think past Worthing into the
Midhurst.
It's a Buddhist center. It's a Hinayana forest Sangha kind of Vietnamese Buddhist center. Ajahn Sumedho is a kind of famous American who kind of formed it and started it out there. Former medical doc out of Vietnam, and we used to go visit because it wasn't far from Brighton, and I just really loved those guys because they were really honest about how fucked up their lives were before they got to Buddhism, and like the phrase that one fellow used that just really stuck with me is like, well, my life was a plate that had all these fucking crabs on it. I was just trying to keep the fucking crabs on the plate. I don't think he used the word fucking, but, for emphasis, but they're just trying to keep these crabs on a plate. And it became completely, pointless. And so, I became a monk.
I like that as a visual.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to keep them all on, right?
Yeah. No. You're trying to keep this.
My one, I often think of is spinning plates. You know that trick that, where you I don't know who does that, but I've seen it on shows.
Somebody does
plates, and when you crash. But like I feel like motherhood's like that with running a business and stuff. There's always going to be one crashing down. Actually, even before I had kids, my life was like this. You never know which one, and you'll never have them all spinning well at the same time either.
Right.
Well, once you realize that, it's actually quite nice.
Yeah.
You can just surrender to the chaos.
Just like it's gonna happen. Like Michelle Obama says, you can have everything, but just not at all the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
And like it's like, oh yeah, Yeah, because you just make yourself sick otherwise, trying to get it all at the same time. And who's to say it's all for you anyway?
That's true.
I feel like I don't know. It's odd to say, but I feel like that one of the major issues for us is these class distinctions where if we had some of our basic needs taken care of, like food,
like cooking and cleaning,
but like food and a home and healthcare, then we wouldn't be making ourselves sick trying to keep ourselves alive. And it's even like it might even be worse in the United States, where if you get sick, well, there's $100,000 gone that you have a debt on.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it just seems like you watch people like the super rich running around shooting rockets off into space, and you think, well, maybe if some of their income was taxed, like the Beatles, 95%, then maybe we could have afford not to work ourselves sick.
The Elons and the Jeff Watsits. I know what you're saying. The setup just isn't great, is it?
Human-wise? It's not great. Yeah.
And I feel like the divide is getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
The elite seems to be getting more elite. The poor are getting poorer, and it's all. And then you've got the people in the middle just trying to like put money into yoga and whatnot, and not always helping themselves.
Yeah. Well, it just seems like also every year the elites are making sure that the tax rate is to their advantage even more every year.
Oh, yeah.
And then that's gone on for the last 60 years, since, fucking Thatcher and Reagan. And then like, well, thank you very much. Well, things are much markedly worse now. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. How did we get here?
I don't know.
I just got resentful about your condition. I was thinking about how fucking rough it's been, and I got annoyed thinking about it. It's like, well, there are structural reasons why you're, struggling at points, and like that's a piece of it. Is that the ability just to live?
But let's talk about how your practice changed after pregnancy, and then
we'll come back to that. Yeah, we'll circle back around to that.
Yeah.
So I was still teaching a lot of vinyasa when I was pregnant with my first daughter, and then as the pregnancy progressed, I was finding that harder and harder. Yeah. I wasn't getting that tired. I just the bump was in the way, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I gave some of my one-to-one clients to other teachers, etc. And then I very naively thought I would come back to it all very quickly after having Bonnie, and I did give it a go, but my classes I just didn't want to do them. I didn't want to be away from her so much. So I focused on the trainings, because then I could work for like a short amount of time, like 3 or 4 days, and then be off again doing admin around her. So that worked well. But I kept thinking, probably for a good 3 years, 2 years after having her, that I would get back to a strong vinyasa practice.
Yeah.
And then my back really hurt a lot of the time, and so did my hips, just in accordance with my state of my back. So I never did get back to that. And then I had another daughter, so 3 years later, and then I completely let go of like a strong yoga practice. And I just thought, well, if I can occasionally do one, that's nice, but actually my sympathetic nervous system is so shot to bits now. What I actually need is something to hook me up into my parasympathetic. So why would I go into a really stimulating hard class when my body's already on the edge with regards to cortisol, adrenaline? That would just I don't know what would happen to me if I went to Mysore like now. I'd just be like, oh, I can't do it. I'd probably cry again. So now I see a lot of crying, a lot of crying, big crier, So now I look for more nurturing styles, more ones that are going to give me energy as opposed to me expending energy while I'm there.
Yeah.
And my back much prefers it as well. Much prefers it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Pilates and just any movement, really. Any movement of, cycling, swimming in particular.
Right. Yeah. So you added in like other types of movement into your day for fitness, and then use the yoga more like it sounds like a softer kind of more meditative or slightly more introspective approach where you're not moving so fast, going a little slower.
But it's healing.
Yeah.
Rather than exacerbating the issue.
Exactly. Yeah. So I had a scan on my back. I think, I can't remember if it was before or after I had little Rosie. She's my little one. But the discs were really mashed, and that's when I realized how mashed my lumbar spine was. And then I worked with I think it was after I had her actually. Anyway, and then I worked for 3 years with a personal trainer who did back care stuff. So I'd see him twice a week, and did a lot of swimming and very gentle yoga. And then it healed quite a lot. The discs had, I didn't even know they could do that, but they had moved back in because they were bulging all out to the left side. So they'd recovered massively, and they're probably the best they'll ever be now.
Wow.
And I thought, well, I don't want to risk, because I've been in pain for so long. I don't want to risk upsetting that now. So I just then I completely let the desire to get back to the stronger forms of yoga. It just went. I was like, that was a great trip, but I'm done. I'm done.
I'm on a new trip now.
That's kind of where I was. I was feeling really good, like going into like a yin practice from just kind of just gently on the floor. And then I thought, well, maybe I should try putting my foot behind my head again. It's been a long time. It's been too long. And as soon as I started doing the movements that put me towards putting my foot behind my head, and then, standing up on one leg with my foot behind my head, that's where I was going towards. I immediately started to feel the herniations and all of the sciatica and all the stuff come back. I was like,
wow,
just to get my fucking foot behind my head? Like what that's so pointless to feel that pain again for that, when I could just be having a really nice time.
But you just wanted to see, right, if you could do it again.
Yeah.
You just
wanted to see.
Wanted to dip your toe in. Yeah. And then you're like,
no, not worth it.
Your leg used to be behind your head a lot.
Yes.
Like
I
it was there a lot.
Oh, here, let's do this. Everybody, look at me.
I didn't sense you were a look at me kind of teacher, though. You were just doing your thing, I think.
You didn't sense that I was a what kind of teacher?
A look at me kind of teacher.
Oh, that's what was going on inside, though. Inside, I was a look at me kind of teacher for sure. Yeah, 110%. I was there to be observed while I was showing off.
Well, that's very honest.
Yeah. I mean, there's the teaching piece where, there's the demonstration piece, but then there's the teaching piece where I was just like with my hands feeling energy and seeing what will move and what won't move. I think that was more of an honest space where I was just listening, when I was manipulating and moving and adjusting. I feel like that was truncated, those two parts of myself. There was me where I wanted to be showing off and seeing, look what I can do gymnastically. But then there was this kind of nice Jekyll and Hyde. There was this nice side who was just trying to listen.
Yeah, and I think everyone's probably got that, and it's a choice which way you go with it, isn't it? And it might be that you dip in and out of both. Everyone's a little introvert or extrovert, aren't they? They're all a combination. Mm-hmm. So I think I was quite extrovert at that time, but I've discovered I'm actually introvert, and I actually really hate being looked at. So I which is, I didn't actually used to think I was like that. And then the more in tune I get with myself and the more embodied I become, because I had dissociation disorder for a really long time, the more I'm like, oh yeah, actually, I really don't like people looking at me or asking me what I'm doing, and actually I really enjoyed lockdown. I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. was actually quite blissful. Just me and the kids had our little routine, and I didn't actually really have to cooperate with anyone. I really liked it, and I haven't gone back to my schedule like it was before. I've kept a lot online.
Yeah.
Were people complaining about the lockdown?
Yeah, some did. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
No, it was nothing to me. It was the same.
What was your schedule like before the lockdown?
Yeah. What's that? Sorry, my schedule.
What was your schedule like before the lockdown?
Oh, it was kind of nuts because I was doing a lot of trainings, but they were all in person, so I was traveling a lot.
Right.
Yeah. So I was kind of dragging the girls with me, and I was like breastfeeding one of them, and then bringing a nanny with me, and it was all kind of chaotic. It was just what I needed to do. Like I really wanted to buy us a home, so that was I'm very goal orientated. So and I've done that. That's probably why I've relaxed a bit more. You know? And
so you're like driving all over you were driving all over the country.
Yeah,
teaching trainings and flying. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of nuts. When I look back, I think, oh God, oh no, that was a lot. I mean, they were really small, the girls, but they're really good with people now. They're so used to being around groups and people talking with them and stuff, and traveling doesn't faze them.
Yeah, I think also in a way, traveling when they're young is the easiest. I mean, it's challenging in that they're young, but it's easy because they just want to be with you. So, and they don't have much say in the matter. So it's kind of easy.
She's starting to answer back and she's saying what she doesn't want to do. And I'm like, oh, damn. I thought I had a couple more years with her just being like really chill. But she's like, no, I don't want to do that. Oh, yes. What? We're getting to that point already. And I'm like, oh, damn. And she's walking away from me as I'm talking to her, and I'm like, this is new. So I actually, it was hard, but now I think about it, because they just wanted to cling to me, it was actually kind of easier.
It's interesting. It feels hard at the time, but it's also actually the time to do it.
I noticed that walking into the home when Jediah was 5 and 6, I saw all the patterns of the teenage years, that they were present, and I could see ways in which they were going to flourish and get demonstrably worse, exponentially worse. And I thought, with some encouragement from your brother, I felt like there was a role for me there to kind of button up the attitude. And so and at times I kind of went a little bit too enthusiastically in this direction, but I went, like, my job was to bring bass to any command. So Harmony would make a command and it would be ignored, or, he would be flippant about it. And then I would come in with my bass and reinforce the demand with bass. And then it's like, it's an amazing kind of magic that happens when two voices work in harmony, a soprano and a bass, and they kind of go together. And then the child's like, oh, fuck, I have to do it now. There's a real amazing, like, I think it's just so fundamental to our human nature that when two voices work in concert, the child instinctively obeys. And it's very, very different when it's just one voice.
Yeah, I think my voice, because they hear it all the time, it's just a bit of a nag. So they're just, I mean, my 6-year-old, she goes, nah, 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 like this to me. She's really, she's like, nah, 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 whatever. Like, she doesn't care. She doesn't respect rules or anything. So.
Right.
Whereas, so that's interesting. So, but I've noticed, and I've noticed in general, and also myself, if the voice is male, I'll listen to it more.
Right.
So I don't know if it's like an innate thing or a patriarchy thing or what, I'm not sure, but I have noticed that. And I think also when I've had male and female yoga teachers, I think I listen more when the teacher's male. I'm not proud of it, but I have observed that in myself, that I'm going to question him less. So maybe that's like a little conditioning thing or what, I'm not sure. So I can imagine you coming in as base working pretty well.
Yeah.
That's so fascinating to observe that in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
and to come out and say it, because I say it all the time to people, not about me, but like as a teacher, I'm like, yeah, if I was a male teacher, you know, students would listen to you more, give you more respect, wouldn't question you, would like be signing up in droves for your workshops. But
there is a difference.
Being a female teacher, I mean, and you must know this in your teaching as well. I mean, you have some pretty niche areas so that are specific to women that only a woman can speak to. But as a female teacher, it's challenging sometimes to hold that authority in the same way that a masculine presence or energy just automatically receives the recognition and authority.
Yeah. And interestingly, I was working with a business coach last year for 9 months, and she actually told me there's been some research done, and she's changed the way she works because of it. That if you know, your admin assistant, if they're male asking for money, no one will question it unless refunds will be asked for. But if it's female, then that will be challenged much more frequently. You know, oh, can I get a discount? Can I pay in installments? You know, all these requests. They hardly come if the request for the payment is from a male. So my business coach her partner emails out now. He's a man, and she's had a lot less hassle with regards to
but she has the man do it for her.
And sometimes she'll just obviously email from his email address for herself. But so she's noticed a big difference. So that's something
fascinating.
I'm looking at doing as well. Yeah. And then I thought, well, actually, I think I would question it less too if it was a man. I think I think I would just crack on and go, okay, yeah. I mean, I hate the whole asking for discounts and stuff. I never do it because I've always run my own business, so I don't like to put people in that position. But if it was on my radar, I think I would be much less likely if I was talking with a man.
So
I'd be sure active men.
Over the last 2 years, my mom has, you could say fired, but let's just say got rid of all of her female employees. She now only has the 2 males, her husband and her son. And her mood, she recruits physicians for hospitals. And so her clients are the hospitals, and they need
doctors. They
need urologists, and that's her specialty. And so now her overall mood and aspect have 1,000% improved with the no female employees. She is the happiest she's ever been. She's so having these men work for her, loves it. Wow. Yeah.
I wonder what
we do exactly what she says, and we don't talk back.
I think it's a dynamic. Yeah, I think there's a dynamic there that
we just do what she says, and the ladies were always questioning her. She fucking hated it all the time.
Right. Yeah.
There's an alpha dogging thing that happens. Yeah.
I have students. I do invite discussion on my trainings, but I have some students challenge me so hard. But I've had some men on the trainings, women's health related trainings, and they're just like, yeah, great, cool. They just get on with it. But the women on the whole, fantastic. And then I will get the challenges are quite good though, because it makes me up my game a little bit and makes me not become lazy. So there's that's positive, but if I do get challenged on what I'm teaching, it's always from female students.
And so what trainings are these that you're talking about? Do you have a few different trainings? So tell us about all the different trainings that you're doing, and which ones do you enjoy the most, and which ones are kind of on your radar the most now?
Well, my pregnancy training, that feels like my baby, because I wrote that just after I started to write when I was pregnant with Bonnie, who's now 9. And then that has just exploded, and it's my biggest training now. So I've been all over with that one. I've been to Vietnam twice and Dubai 5 times and Doha.
Wow.
And it's a few times with it. And then now I run it predominantly online, which I absolutely love. And it's brilliant for the students because, do you remember back in the day, you'd take a notepad and then you'd have to write everything down that was being said, and you'd get home from the training and you had no idea what had happened.
Yeah.
You'd have to teach from that experience. Whereas now they've got all the recordings, and it's great. So they can revisit the material at any time. So it's fantastic. So that's probably my favorite, because it's just kind of part of me, and it's what I've been known for. I'm quite proud of it. I've got a real nice team. I've got lots of guest teachers coming on that one. And then I've got postnatal training, which is just 2 days, because I found with the postnatal, as I'm sure you're aware, it can be pretty dark times, and lots of nitty gritty and bits falling off. So so I added
you
on.
You said that your fanny falls off. That's what you said before we started recording. After you have a baby, British, right? So your fanny falls off.
Well, it feels like that. Like, it just feels like parts of you are falling off and leaking, and there's just a lot going on. So we talk about all sorts of my training. There's nothing left. There's nothing off limits.
Yeah.
So it's a very inclusive training in that regard. And when I trained to be a pregnancy yoga teacher, the training I did was wonderful, but it's, I mean, you can only do so much in 6 days, but it didn't cover the more nitty gritty side of pregnancy, birth, and motherhood. I didn't feel so. I try and bring that into my one without getting too dark. But then I added on another 2 days, which is my postnatal standalone postnatal training, which gets into subjects more where people are more challenged. So baby loss, abdominal separation, prolapse, etc. So I had to take that out of the pregnancy training, where we do touch on postnatal, because it was just too much for some people. They were like, I could see their faces. They were like, oh, horrified.
They're like, oh dear.
I'm like, there's real, and then there's being real, and then there's just scaring people. So I took those subjects out, and we've popped that into a 2-day postnatal training. And then which is actually, I really love giving that one. I have smaller groups for that one, but I really love it. I have usually about 8 to 10 people on that.
Amazing.
And then
just to say that every year my mom and I, we go to a urology conference. And every year it's a different city, and we're about to go in 2 weeks. We're going to go to the giant urology conference. And Harmony came last year, and what I pointed out to her is that one of the big things that they offer is called a transvaginal sling. And I said, Harmony, now you could get a transvaginal sling, and then you could go on the trampoline again. It'd be nice. It'd be good to be able to jump up and down.
So is that like an old school loincloth? Is it
no, it's a surgery. It's a surgical procedure, and then you'd be able to jump up and you'd be able to jump up and down again.
No, but they have things like that you can wear, special diapers.
But at the conference, they really want to do surgery on you. Like, that's really what they're about. Yeah, it's good.
Interesting.
You fix all that, button it all up. There's leaking.
Yeah. Well,
the urologists. They hate this, but like everyone asks, like, are you going to do any, female urology? It's like, oh, leaky ladies. No, I don't want to do that. It's not my focus.
Leaky ladies.
But there's a lot of leaky ladies out there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
There's a lot. And especially when you get to perimenopause and menopause, because the collagen production drops so much in the body that's often when challenges that occurred in labor and postnatally, you can sometimes kind of live with it, but then they come back to haunt you menopause, and that's when these surgeries can really be quite helpful for people. Because it's not like we just have to live with this stuff now. There are solutions, which is super positive. So these conferences you're going to, Russell, I didn't expect you to be saying you'd gone to a conference like that. But I think it's really positive. It's great. There are some answers out there. And also the right kind of yoga can be very, very helpful. The wrong kind of yoga can make it a lot worse.
Do you think
Prolapse,
so?
I'm thinking about currently.
That's
what's currently on my mind.
Yeah.
So my menopause training is a new one.
Yeah, the menopause training. Tell us about this. This sounds amazing. So it's like teaching teachers how to teach menopausal women. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. So it's only started this year, so it's still kind of forming, and I'm still playing around with it. So we've done one in-person one down here in Worthing. So I had 22 brilliant women on that. We had a good time, and then I'm running it online for the first time this week. So it's I'm still getting feedback and tweaking it. You know how it takes a while to
totally.
Place. I mean, saying that, my pregnancy one is now nearly 10 years old, and I'm still changing that every time I teach it. I change something.
Keeps it fresh.
With the menopause. Yeah. So we just, it's just nice to come together with other like-minded women and just chat about the downsides and also the upsides, because there are a lot of upsides, and that's what I would really want to get across. And you get a lot more kind of, well, my experience so far, I'm only in perimenopause, but is you start to care less about what other people think. That's currently what's coming up for me, and it's really wonderful. I'm really enjoying that. I'm really enjoying that. There's some of the things we've discussed, for example, in this podcast, I wouldn't have mentioned even 2 years ago. But now I'm like, it doesn't even matter, really. No. If someone doesn't like it, they'll just switch it off.
It's true.
I'm just talking about stuff that's happened. It's not a big deal. So I'm finding that really refreshing, because I've always worried about what other people think of me, or, you know, how do I look? And, you know, they're going to judge me and think the wrong thing. And now it's like, well, so what? I don't know how that comes about in perimenopause, but that is what's coming about for me. And I really like it. I really, really like it. And I'm finding also now I'm hearing about people I went to school with passing away. And, you know, I've had a couple of students pass away too and stuff like that. I'm just having a much more of an appreciation of my body, in that I'm just so glad I'm still in it. You know, not that I've got a great butt or anything. It's kind of nice butt, but it's just that I'm still here in it, and I can still be a mom and work and have, well, also just all the freedom you get living in the UK as a woman to do what I want to do. So I'm just checking in with that mentality every day, and that's quite a new thing. I think I've always just been so busy because I don't want anyone to think I'm lazy or this or that. Now I'm slowing down. I'm like, oh yeah, you know, you can just smell the coffee now. I'm like, wow, this body's amazing. Oh my God, the stuff it's been through and it's still ticking. Jeez. Yeah. So I'm finding the slowness of mid-40s really quite wonderful.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Really enjoying it.
That's really nice.
And so what kinds of topics do you look at on your yoga teacher training for menopause?
Well, I'm quite sciencey, so we look at the decline in collagen production and how that can increase the risk of injury. Yeah, for people if they take potentially the more traditional styles of yoga, because you're working with a lot of long holds, long levers, obviously depending on what style you're doing. You know, a lot of strong bandha, etc. And that collectively, for someone that's going through perimenopause with the cycles that come with that, so you know, 1 minute you'll be high testosterone, the next you'll be low, and low you're going to be more prone to injury, for example, because then strength declines, etc. So, you know, where can we do the stronger work? When's a good time to rest? How do we deal with hot flushes? My tactic with that is to move, get the energy out. Use it as a detox, a tamas, get the tamas out via logistic approach, just moving. Whereas some of the trainings out there, they've got a slightly different approach, and it's not one that's worked for me. Is when you're having a hot flash, lie down and do a cooling breath. I like to move and just get that energy out. So that's what I'm suggesting on the training. But of course, the more I teach women of my age, the more I'm realizing you just need a multitude of approaches, because everyone is so different.
Mm-hmm. What works for some might not work for others. Yeah.
And then I've got a colleague, Rachel Boone. She's a naturopath. Mm-hmm. She's my naturopath, actually. So she comes in and gives two lots of 2-hour talks as well, on how naturopathy can help. And she comes from more of a medical background. So she talks exactly about what's going on hormonally during perimenopause and menopause, and how that can affect psyche and body as well. What other stuff do we do? So I've just put 2 new flows together. One is for cooling, so on those days where you do feel really depleted, and then some restorative yoga as well, and then also a practice to get the heat out. So we channel Goddess Kali on that one.
Nice.
And do lots of lion breath and goddess pose and roaring and just do like planks, and that I'm looking forward to teaching that one on Friday. So just getting everyone really hot, get the heat out, and they can relax. So it's a slightly different approach, I think, than what's out there, but also just inviting discussion like I do in all my trainings, and just I want people, because most of the people that are drawn to the training are going through perimenopause and menopause. I just want to invite discussion from them to bounce ideas off and just be with other women, because like I enjoy being on my own, but I think a lot of people find it quite a lonely time. I talk to myself an awful lot, so I'm never lonely. I'm never lonely. My little one, she's like, "Are you talking again, Mummy?" I'm like, "Oh, it's my ADHD." I'm like, yeah, I am. I think I was. I think. I quite like journeying on my own if I'm going through some sort of turmoil. I actually like sitting with it and journeying on my own, but that's not for everyone. That can descend some people into an abyss, which isn't healthy. So
they say an abyss is unhealthy, but it could be learning opportunity as well. The
only way is that. The only way is that. Some people don't have the skill set to bring themselves back up, though. That's the challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is the challenge.
I noticed this weekend I was doing I was having my own midlife crisis. I was doing landscaping in the backyard and carving things up and moving rocks and lifting and pulling solid up and the whole thing. And I was like, this is what old men do, as middle-aged men.
Did you leave it unfinished? A lot of men do that.
Of course it's unfinished. And then it's
more than 2 days.
I've got more to do. And then my wife was inside on the bed with her dogs and her pillow over her head, just in goddess pose, I guess you'd call it, asleep. I think we're both
Shavasana.
We're both doing like our hormonally informed activities.
Yeah, to be fair, I had been up since 5 a.m. teaching yoga, and it was now like 11 a.m. and I was exhausted.
I have no idea what you're up to before I wake up. I have no idea.
When you're a yoga teacher like that, it's like you're on a different time frame from everyone else. I remember just being so tired by 2 p.m. If I come to Mysore practice first, taught 3 classes in the morning, I was like, it feels like evening now. I used to really struggle with that.
I know. I have like, the thing that I find really challenging is like I teach online on Fridays, and then right now I'm teaching my pranayama class on Saturdays online, and both are at 6 a.m. for me. Which means like you kind of got to be up and like getting ready by 5 a.m. to like, make sure you're on time for 6 a.m.
I actually want to do that. I want to do your ancient breathing course.
Yeah, come. And so but those 2 early mornings for me, like back to back, I find really exhausting. Like just like the needing to be up and like alert and present and like to prepare and then show up online. I don't know. I'm just not able to do the early mornings every day back to back. Like I can do one-offs, but then I kind of need a day in between to relax and recover and not have to do the early morning thing again.
I've noticed that with age too. I can do a couple of early mornings and then I'm done. Whereas obviously doing Mysore practice, it was just completely normal.
I know. That's the thing. It's like 3, 4 a.m. No problem. Up, wake up, get on with it.
Then we'd be asleep by 7.
Yeah, or often I would take the after. I think I've just been a big napper my whole life. Apparently,
I used to nap
more so now. Yeah, you have to take that afternoon nap because you can't function by 2 p.m. like you're saying. You've already been up for like 10 hours almost, and you're like, okay, I think I need to take a nap now.
You're completely spent. I do like being on like normal people time now.
Yeah,
I'm actually
so do I.
Yeah, I remember that like teaching Mysore when I was teaching Mysore, regularly, and before having my son, and just like, so I was young still, like in my late 20s, early 30s, and teaching Mysore, getting up at 3 a.m., doing my practice, teaching Mysore, and then and literally, and then like doing some morning stuff, you know, doing some computer work or whatever. But literally by like 3-4 p.m., like asleep on the couch, like could not stay awake, like just so exhausted.
Yeah.
And like when you're in India, can't do that. I mean, when you're in India, you can take a nap whenever you want, though, I think, and not feel bad. But like, but you can't do that when you have kids. You can't, like, you know, be completely flat out and be responsible at 3 p.m. or 4 p.m.
It's not a good look when mommy's asleep in the middle of the day, is it?
No, that's what my mom used to do.
Right.
That's what my mom used to do. Yeah, the three of us would just be running wild in the house. Yeah, I think she just, it's probably an anxiety thing. She just like couldn't fucking deal with it. My brothers were horrible. They used to have proper punch-ups. So,
oh my gosh.
Like, yeah, I'm not talking sibling rivalry, I'm talking proper fights. So they were, it was really hardcore. So yeah, I think she probably had to go to sleep. Otherwise she was going to kill someone.
I remember once coming home from school with my report card, and mom was asleep. For some reason she was home, and I remember going to her bed and showing her my report card. Look, mommy, it's straight D's. I've managed to avoid total failure. And so I'm straight D's, and she looked at it. She just moaned and then rolled over away from me.
Oh my God, I feel like a connection with your mum now. Yeah, I get that feeling. I understand it. Yeah. I understand that. Where you have nothing left. There's nothing left. There's no energy for reaction. You're like, you can't change it anyway, so you may as well just roll over and grow.
Right. Exactly.
Well, I think this menopause training sounds so interesting, so fascinating.
Because evidently you're not doing that anymore, are you?
I don't know. I really thought, well, I might be finished, but then I was talking to my grandmother's caregiver yesterday, and she's, I think,
10
like
years older.
55, 57, somewhere in there. And she told me she hadn't had her period for 9 months, and then it came like last month, and she was so irritated by it. And I was like, don't tell me these things.
Sorry. I'm going to find people come home.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Oh, yeah. How old are you, Harmony?
45.
No, you're 43. You're not 45 in Indian years, whatever the fuck it is.
Almost.
You're born 44. In 1979. You're 43.
Okay. Right. Oh, so that's early. Yeah, it's all pretty early for you.
It's a bit early. But your mom was a bit early.
I don't know if my mom was a bit early, but I started menstruating when I was 10, so.
Oh, yeah. You had enough.
Yeah, I heard that on another podcast. Yeah, that stuck with me because I was like, damn, 10. And then when my 9-year-old's being arsy, I'm like, oh, she might be like Harmony.
Yeah, right, you don't know.
Yeah.
You're there in my consciousness, Harmony, and your menstruation.
I'm glad I can show up for something.
I just
show up.
I just want to say that this has been phenomenal and really, really cool to get back in touch with you and to hear how you're doing, getting on. You sound like you're like you have this incredible space now to be you, and that's phenomenal. And it's really nice. And it's like when Harmony first told me that we were going to interview Sally from Sussex, I was like, fuck off. And it was like, but no, it's been really nice to not have a podcast with my ex-wife and to actually just spend time with an old maid from back in the day. This has been cool.
Oh, an old maid.
Yeah.
From way back when.
Back when.
Well, it's been... I do think of our days in Brighton practicing Ashtanga very fondly. That was it was very necessary for me to go through that journey for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Let's get some layers off. Whoa.
British people are tough to teach, so it was quite a journey for me as well.
Oh, really?
They are quite confrontational with their opinions, and you wouldn't the British don't necessarily have that reputation, but they are extraordinarily challenging as students in that they challenge you on every last fucking thing that you say. Whereas when I moved to Taiwan, they just did what I told them to do and didn't say a fucking word. Yeah,
it was like that. I taught in Vietnam a couple of times. And it was like that there. Yeah,
right. It's like, oh, this is nice. I get used to this.
It was really nice.
Refreshing.
It was so nice, but it was so nice. I didn't really know if they were enjoying it or anything, or if they're actually getting out of it.
Right?
So
no, they won't tell you.
Yeah.
They'll give you gifts. Maybe they'll gift.
So many gifts.
Yeah, so many gifts. Yeah, and you didn't get any gifts from the British. No, just a lot of talk back.
No, I don't think I brought you anything though.
No, you didn't. You brought me nothing but a lot of energy in the morning, which I appreciated. Thank you.
Lot of energy. All right, Ross, let's go.
But this is awesome. How could I take a course on menstruation from you? What would be, or perimenopausal?
How to help women through pregnancy?
How could I help myself through pregnancy and yoga? How could I get a hold of you?
A lot of the practices are so gentle and therapeutic. They're actually really nice on the back. I love teaching pregnancy. My back always feels better. And the postnatal stuff is quite a lot of Pilates weaved into it. So it's actually, what I'm saying is the practice might be nice for you. But hey, I haven't anyone on the training. I love it when men join my trainings. It makes it feel really balanced. I really like it. And because they come from a more, and this isn't anything against men, from a more, a less emotional place with it all.
Yeah,
it's actually it's like it balances out the emotional side, because some women get very emotional in training. So it's which again, that's fine. I'm one of those people, but having the male energy there, it's a really nice balance. I love it. So you'd be very welcome. But you don't be too naughty.
Don't be naughty.
Don't be naughty.
That's not something that I'm in control of. I literally never have any idea what's about to come out of my mouth. I'm just I'm watching the whole time. It's like, I wonder what's about to happen. It'd be fun.
Is there no filter?
No filter.
There might be a filter, but I'm not in control of it.
This is how Sally and I reconnected. Was we were on a committee for a discussion panel for Yoga Gives Back, talking about women and menstrual equity and the issues in India around menstrual equity and
I'm so excited to be involved with Yoga Gives Back. And that was from one of my students in Dubai, Michelle.
Oh, nice.
I know you know. She put me forward. They were asking, Yoga Gives Back was asking if there's someone in, Europe they could bring in as an ambassador. She suggested me. So I'm actually going out to see Michelle this summer to run the menopause training in a 2-day pre and postnatal immersion at her studio.
Amazing.
So it's funny, all these little paths are crossing again. It's really nice.
Yeah, beautiful. I love Michelle. Yeah, no, and Yoga Gives Back is so great. And I just started a fundraising page for the SHE Scholarship, the Scholarship for Higher Education for the girls, through doTERRA essential oils, because I'm a doTERRA representative, even though I'm not representing as well as I could be, I guess. But
the negative self-talk.
They do matching funds. So we're going to try and raise $15,000 for the SHE Scholarship, and then doTERRA will match the funds up to $15,000.
Nice. Good.
Wow. That's
so
amazing.
I'm really excited about that. Yeah. So I'm going to be like posting it in all the ambassadors. Sending them information and getting them to get people to make donations, because it'll be doubled, which is amazing.
We'll put that in the show notes.
Yeah. And along with your training.
And then how can people get in contact with you with your training? What's the best way?
Oh, sure. I'm on Instagram a lot. So I've got Sally Parks Women's Yoga as one of my Instagram accounts. And I've just started a new paid platform. It's not making any, it's super cheap though. It's like £5 a month. It's just I had a lot of content and I film a lot. Yeah. So I've popped it all into this platform via Offering Tree. And it's just called Sally Parks Yoga Club. So that's another Instagram, but I haven't built it up much yet. So if people just head over to my Sally Parks Women's Yoga account, they can message me on there, or just go to my website again, which is my name, Sally Parks Yoga, and pop me a message, a WhatsApp or an email, and I'm online a lot, so someone will get back. Me and my assistant, someone will come back to them straight away. And my trainings are open to anyone, no matter what age, gender, anything.
Good,
awesome.
I'm super up for anyone join. They don't have to be a yoga teacher either. They can just join out.
Yeah, it would be a great way to just learn about yourself, your body, or the process. If you're pregnant, you could just jump on a training and learn so much, I'm sure, about practicing yoga while you're pregnant, or like postnatal yoga. I mean, so many women who become pregnant are really looking also for that postnatal information, because like you said, there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot that goes on, and not much education around it, or like even things to help with the recovery process.
Yeah, there's very little. It's like when a person's pregnant, there's so much fuss around them and the baby, and then they have the baby and they're left. Like in the UK, there's no 6-week check or anything anymore. So in some areas, so there's literally nothing. You might get a leaflet on how to recover and how to do some pelvic floor work, but that's literally it. So so I feel it's really necessary. And we have a lot of people come on the trains that are not pre or postnatal. They don't plan to be, but they are getting students become pregnant. They want to teach them. One student I had, she had no plan to have children, but she was teaching in a women's prison. So she's taken that into there now. So there's people from all walks of life. So it can be for anyone.
Awesome. Wonderful. What is the next trainings coming up? What are the dates?
I have menopause training this week. So Thursday, Friday and Saturday. I can't remember what day that is. And then we have a fertility training next month. Again, that's online, and that's spread over the month. So there's weekly meetup. So that's set out a little differently. So that kicks off. It's the 5th of May, I think. And then there's pregnancy training in June. That's 4 days in person near me, again in Worthing, West Sussex, and then 2 days are online. So it's a bit of a hybrid, but it's an experiment, that one. We haven't run it like that before. And then I can't think further than that.
Okay.
I'm going to the States. I'm teaching in the States.
Yeah.
Which one of them? There's
she's doing a pregnancy training and a postnatal training in the States. Where's Michelle El-Khoury?
There's hundreds of states. Which one is it?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe there's
Philadelphia.
There's 50.
Philadelphia.
Oh, that's a Pennsylvania state.
Yeah, I was saying Pennsylvania in my head, but then I was like, I'm not sure if that's the right state.
Penn's Woods. That's how we remember it. That's good.
Yeah. And last time I was in Pennsylvania, I was working with I worked on Camp America when I was at university, and there were these kids from Brooklyn and Harlem we were looking after, and we cycled them across Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow.
And it was so much fun. We did it for a week. They loved it. And then we finished at Amish house and had lunch. It was so much fun. These kids were great. They were so Larry, as we say in the UK. They were just so funny. So funny. So good. Such great.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that was the last time I was in Pennsylvania, but I thought it was really beautiful. It's great to cycle. It's pretty flat.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's a little mountainy, like around Wilkes-Barre and all that.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. It's sort of Appalachian-y. So I was concerned when you said cycle. I was like, oh, God.
She was on the flat part.
The flat part. The flat bit. All right. Good.
Yeah, we kids lived on microwave meals. We couldn't be having them going up and down hills too much.
No.
But they did great. They were brilliant children. Yeah. They thought they were adults, but they weren't. No, yeah, but that was a long time ago. Yeah, well, choo-choo. Yeah.
Well, it'll be fun to be back.
I didn't even know people remember me, actually. Yeah, it would be. I was like, did Mohammed remember me from Thailand? Because there were lots of students there. And then I was like, Rusty's had loads of students. So I don't know. I was just coming in.
Of course I remember you. Yeah, of course. Yeah. You're very nice, is how I remember you. Very nice.
Well, thank you so much, Sally. It was such a pleasure to have you on today.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me. I kind of already don't know what we talked about, but thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Finding Harmony. With me, your host, Harmony Slater. You can find out more information on my website, harmonyslater.com, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon.
Standing in eternity's shadow, watching the breaking waves. There's a hard wind and the soil is dry.